This is Right Around Australia, the story of Nevill Westwood and his Citroën Bubsie on Faith FM. In 2025, the incredible journey will be reenacting another incredible journey undertaken 100 years earlier by young Nevill Westwood, who accidentally achieved the record of being the first person to drive right around Australia. Here is part 10 of his exciting story. The year is 1925. Nevill and Greg reached Sydney on the 17th of November and stopped off to visit the Sydney Adventist Hospital and meet with other Adventists. They made good time to Goulburn, where Greg left the expedition to continue his work as a colporteur, and Nevill travelled on alone to Melbourne. Nevill enjoyed visiting places of significance to the Seventh-day Adventist Church and headed for Warburton, where the book he had been selling, Our Day in the Light of Prophecy, was printed at the Signs Publishing Company. He also visited the Sanitarium Health Foods Factory and the Health Centre. Word had reached Melbourne of Neville's arrival, and a group of well-wishers headed north up the Hume Highway to welcome him. But because he had been to Warburton, Nevill arrived in Melbourne from the east and missed the welcome. On his arrival in Melbourne, he took Bubsie to the Citroën garage to get some work done, but found the place virtually empty, which puzzled him. One of the salesmen asked his name and exclaimed, "Are you the overlander?" He then explained that everyone had driven out to meet him as he came into Melbourne. Nevill would have been disappointed to miss their welcome. Nevill was anxious now to get home for Christmas. It had been an epic journey, but even though he was warned not to travel across the Nullarbor in summer, he set out for Adelaide on the 13th of December. The trip to Adelaide was 510 kilometres, which he completed in 17 hours. He must have driven through the night to get there, so determined was he to reach Perth in time. There was an added incentive too. Nevill had heard of another driver, J.K. Warner, also in a Citroën, attempting to be the first to drive around Australia, and he was only 900 kilometres behind. There was also Mrs. Marion Bell, attempting to be the first woman to drive around Australia. The race was on. The heat and sandy, rutted road made driving difficult, but Nevill pressed on through the desert, seeing no one on the way. Between Eucla and Baladonia, he saw a car parked by the side of the road. Pulling up, he found the car had broken down, and the driver and his two female passengers were dehydrated and in desperate straits. The little party had no tools, no mechanical knowledge, and no water. Nevill got the car started again, shared his water, and set off, grateful that he had been able to save their lives. Nevill didn't quite make it to Perth for Christmas, but he wasn't far away. He spent Christmas with his brother in Widjimultha, and then set off for the last leg of his journey on the 30th of December. Crowds were waiting to welcome him back, and a convoy of Citroën enthusiasts led him through the cheering throng. The Daily News reported, "The Citroën was in excellent condition, albeit bearing signs of the rough treatment experienced on trackless roads," while The Truth gave Bubsie a road test and reported, "The little car never faltered for an instant up the steepest hills and averaged 15.6 kilometres per litre of petrol." Bubsie had travelled 17,220 kilometres in 148 days, an average of 116 kilometres per day, and had endured the trip well. Bubsie was displayed in the shop window of the local Citroën dealer and caused quite a sensation. In 2019, Bubsie again caused a sensation by appearing at the Motor Classica at Melbourne's exhibition buildings in October to celebrate the anniversary of the founding of Citroën. Citroën enthusiasts were promised the highlight will be the 1923 5C Fee that circumnavigated mainland Australia that is being borrowed from the National Museum for one of its rare off-site appearances. Nevill put the Citroën into storage, but his adventures were not over yet. Stay tuned to Faith FM for the next installment of this series, Right Around Australia, the story of Nevill Westwood and his Citroën Bubsie. For more information about this program, visit the website of The Incredible Journey, online at tij.tv/RAA.